Real-world economic value. That's a big, big promise of the ASI Alliance. Let's face it, most crypto projects will be gone in a couple of years, just like most projects were gone in the dot-com boom. But the ASI Alliance is here to stay, because it's creating actual value in the real-world economy, which is what most crypto and Web3 projects don't do. But creating advanced AI and eventually AGI systems is a bold promise that is definitely sought after and asked for in today's economy. And with the latest innovation out of the ASI Alliance, this value is no longer a promise, but actually starts to take shape. Let's have a look at AIRIS, a new state-of-the-art AI learning system that can learn through its own behavior and experiences. AIRIS is a method for autonomously learning expert system like causal rules from raw observation of its operating environment. Unlike other systems, where you have to encode multiple sets of rules within them so that they can operate and function within the environment. Unfortunately, these rules are brittle and prone to failing when situations arise that are outside the rules provided by the programmer. So instead with AIRIS, you don't have to program every single rule into the system, because like I said, it learns through its own experiences. And then it takes action based on that, so that it can adapt to environmental changes, just as described here. When it encounters situations that are outside the rules it has been trained for, it learns new rules that it can then apply to similar situations. Differently to most reasoning systems, it supports rule induction, which happens while the system is operating and interacting with the environment. But let's skip all the abstract technical parts about how that works. If you want to, the paper is down in the description, but let's jump into how that actually looks like. First, we look at state graph creation. And you can think about it like this. Just imagine a human child that touches a hot stove, and then the child learns through interaction with the environment, oh, a stove can be hot sometimes, maybe I should not be doing that. And AIRIS works very similar. You could also imagine how AIRIS touches a stove because it has a base rule or foundational truth, for example, that stoves are cold, then it touches the stove and oh, a stove can also be hot. And this now gets programmed into AIRIS through learning through its own experiences. Now just like a child, AIRIS has now two rules. Stove can be cold or stove can be hot. And when it approaches the stove, it will look for cues in the environment. Just as an example, it's not that developed yet, but theoretically it would look for cues in the environment. Is the stove right now hot or is it cold? To see which rule right now applies. And this can be extrapolated as well. So just imagine the child grows up, goes to college and has a chemistry course or whatever, and then there's a heating plate. And the child remembers, oh yeah, the heating plate can be hot or cold. It's similar to a stove. And AIRIS would also see the heating plate, it would be similar, and then it would also apply the rules, oh yeah, it can be hot or cold. Of course, again, it's not that advanced yet, but that's basically how it works. At least as far as I understand it. Please always keep that in mind. I could be completely understanding everything wrong. Next, we look at state graph usage. So this basically means if you give your agent a goal, it will make steps to achieve that goal. If no goal is given, the automatic goal will be to gain more confidence in the rules with the least amount of confidence. So what does that mean? Let's say AIRIS has tested one time, oh yes, the stove can be hot or cold, but only one time. So it has very little confidence in these rules when a stove is hot or cold. So now when it has no goals, it will automatically revert back to the learning goal of seeing, okay, when does this rule actually apply? It will go to the stove because there's a very little amount of confidence, and it will find out and test more when stoves are actually hot or cold. So AIRIS basically has an intrinsic motivation to learn and keep learning. So yeah, as you can see here, they basically said, why would we program every single step into an AI system when this is not even how humans learn? Humans learn when they grow up by interacting with the environment. So let's just do the exact same with AI. Of course, AIRIS is still in its early stages, and a few ways it were tested on were 2D puzzles, MNIST, where you have to recognize handwritten digits, and the kartoffel problem, where you have to balance a pole on a card. And yes, AIRIS performed pretty well in all of these, especially against old benchmarks. As I said, you can look at the paper link in the description, but let's just have a brief look at the kartoffel problem here. Basically, you just have a pole on top of a card. and then you can push the card either left or right, and you try to balance that pull on the card, and you want to obviously keep it as close to 0 degrees as possible. If it bends too much, the problem is basically failed. And this is how AIRIS performed. AIRIS is here on the left side, and as you can see, after about a little under 40 runs, it got perfect score relatively consistently. And now compare that to the model on the right side, which took way longer and had way bigger fluctuation for a longer time. So yes, with AIRIS, the ASI Alliance is really pushing innovation in the AI field, which is why I'm so convicted in this project, much more than in any other crypto project. AI is big, and AI will change our economy dramatically. And the ASI Alliance is at the best spot to play an important role in the advancing AI economy and get their share of the entire economy. They are the best place to provide actual real-world value in the actual economy and not just Web3 value. And like this, in the long run, they have the potential to really differentiate themselves from other crypto and Web3 projects, because most of them don't create any actual value. They just rely on their token price to go up and then to sell their token to generate income or revenue. Right? There are no other revenue streams because no value is created. And sure, of course, it's cool when your token price shoots up because of Moonboy money, but when there's no actual fundamentals behind it, no actual stream of revenue that comes in, then this is very shaky, and it's basically the definition of a bubble, and it will burst at one point. It's just unsustainable. This is also why I am so excited about every merger that the ASI Alliance takes on. Sure, it might be short-term bearish for the token price because Moonboy money goes away, but it creates more value. A bigger tech stack means more value created in the real-world economy to create actual revenue streams, to actually make this project sustainable, create a great foundation for ultimately the token price to go up more and more, which it naturally does anyway with the earn and burn mechanism that is now implemented and causes the FET token to increase in value when the ASI Alliance increases in value and when more and more revenue streams are created. Anyway, back to AIRIS now, which of course still has a few quite significant limitations, which I don't want to skip here. So let's look at them, and the paper says, as of this paper, AIRIS, by the way, I say AIRIS the whole time, it could also be IRIS? I just keep saying AIRIS. AIRIS is not able to learn rules for events that occur regardless of the agent's action, such as the independent movements of other agents or objects. This limits the system to environments where the only events that occur are caused directly by the actions of the agent. Environments where all input values can change, such as video feeds, pose a computational cost limitation. So yes, still quite a lot of room for improvement, but it's an amazing innovation that is well on its way. At the moment, AIRIS has been put in a 3D environment to test its capabilities, which of course is a huge step up and way more complex than a 2D environment. And the environment it's tested in right now is Minecraft. You can, by the way, actually test AIRIS yourself if you want to watch it while it figures out Minecraft by itself. Here are the instructions. I will leave them in the description as well, a link to them. On that note, what do you think about an AIRIS Minecraft livestream? Would you watch that? Would that be interesting or boring? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're excited about the developments and innovations coming out of the ASI Alliance and you want to learn more about the fundamentals and the actual vision that the ASI Alliance pursues, which is a lot bigger than token price to go up, it is creating beneficial AGI for all of humanity, then be sure to check out the video right over there.